Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Help promote rank up my channel. So we're going to review Werewolves Within, a film I was greatly looking forward to after seeing the trailer for this comedy horror, one of my favorite genres of all time, or subgenre, whatever you want to call it. Werewolves Within, starring Sam Richardson, who I recently saw in the Tomorrow War, and I thought that was absolutely the best thing I've seen lately. And his sense of humor in there, his comedic parts worked really well, so it just made me more eager to see this film. The writer on this one is Mishna Wolff. That's an interesting last name to have in regards to this film that's called Werewolves Within. That's kind of a whodunit murder mystery feature adaptation of a video game where werewolves attack a small town, a game of deduction where you have to try to figure out who it is. Storyline on this one: a proposed gas line has created divisions within the small town of Beaverfield when a snowstorm traps its residents together inside a local inn. Newly arrived forest ranger Finn, Sam Richardson, and postal worker Cecily try to keep the peace and uncover the truth behind a mysterious creature that has begun terrorizing the community. Let's talk about the positives. Positives on this one: Werewolves Within is a whodunit style of film, murder mystery, quirky comedy, more so than horror. Sam Richardson as the new ranger is almost the only likable character. He must solve a murder mystery shortly after coming into a town, getting snowed in, generators getting taken out, the list of suspects being oddball characters, mostly stereotypical, in they're like cranked up to 11, very cartoonish. Their performances are convincing. They're just really out there. This film has a cozy small town charm, and fortunately, so does the lead, Sam Richardson. Other best characters: Flint, the living off the grid, wants to deal with nobody guy. Their scenes are great together. The film relies on audiences with a very specific taste in humor. The mystery itself does get entertaining, intriguing, makes you second guess your first suspect, but as tensions rise and new things are learned. However, it isn't until the third act where the movie actually gets really good, as all these characters decide they're not really much of a community, and it's kind of every man for themselves. Everything goes batshit crazy, off the rails, and it actually gets pretty bloody, brutal, violent. And when in regards to like creature feature stuff, a lot of the things done in here are handled really well. The sets captures this very specific small town charm and quirky nature. It gets pretty off the rails. So the third act got really enjoyable in comparison to the rest of the movie, which unfortunately brings me to the negatives. The negatives on this one, like I was saying, the first two acts of the film just aren't that great. They really aren't. It's really hard to make it through the third act where things actually get really entertaining. The film's whodunit aspect is far too obvious. A few snippets of dialogue and interactions make it so early on. The majority of characters are awful, unfunny, and downright off-putting. The first two acts, while curious and intriguing in small doses in regards to the overall mystery, they're really hard to get through. The film's just terribly unfunny. And as this nice guy ranger deals with a bunch of self-centered, whiny, screamy, rude people, it's just that much more difficult to get through it, to tread through the thick snow. Also, some of the snowfall is obvious CGI looking, digital. The horror aspect of this film too mostly takes a back seat to the large, unfunny comedic aspect, the comedy that just falls flat and misses a lot of the marks. It's usually like scenes that involve Sam Richardson's ranger with the Flint guy that work pretty well. But most of the characters, I mean, god, they're cranked up to 11. They're just so cartoonish and unbearable. It's really ridiculous. Overall, I'll give this film a 4 out of 10. Looks good, well done, well shot, well acted, but it chose to prioritize comedy over horror. Horror took a backseat to it, and the comedy they went with, the sense of humor they chose to, it's pretty unfunny. The first 2 acts are largely wasted on this unfunny, almost unbearable thing to get through, to get to the actual fun and horror of the film in the 3rd act. So, 4 out of 10. Let me know what you thought of it. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. Give me your thoughts on this Werewolves Within. Did you enjoy it? If you enjoyed it, I'm really glad you enjoyed it. I wish I could have enjoyed it more than I did, but it just didn't work for me. Stay awesome. Rock on.